It's football season now, boys. The Pirates did their job.
College football this weekend.
Is that what you're going to Vegas for?
Yeah, man.
Little fucking CF. Let's go.
What's
all right? We can talk Cabali.
2-0 in bets. Batting 1,000.
We can talk. We can shout out Pat McAfee and the Mark Cabali thing.
Dude, he was trashed. Did you see him?
Cabali was.
No, fucking Pat McAfee.
Somebody said something about he's high like 80% of the time or something like that.
Good for him.
They were in Ireland for fucking.
All right, we'll talk about this. Let's start.
Can you sue me if I fucking?
We've had a whole episode leading up to this episode.
Joe.
You're listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Anthony R. Destiny, Joe Ferrani, and Jerry Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll. Payday is the most important day to your most important people, and payday is made easy at www.payyourpeople.com.
Let's kick it off.
Episode 43.
Episode 43.
Troy Polamalu.
Yeah.
What are other famous 43s?
Richard Petty.
Richard Petty, okay. Who's the 43rd president?
Joe Biden.
No.
He's
46.
Oh, wow. I'm fucking old.
George W. Bush. So let's go back. Okay, so you got 45 was Trump.
That's a good start.
44 was Obama.
43
was George W. Bush.
No, Obama
went back to back, baby.
Yeah, but he was still, still counts.
Okay.
I guess if you do the math, we've not only had 45 fucking presidents, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I guess.
Well, we're not a history podcast, right?
No.
Troy's.
We're also not a political podcast, but we're really not doing very good at that.
Yeah,
and that's a shame because...
We say that like 5 times a show. And then,
we're not a political podcast, but then we go on like an hour and a half rant about
I know, but I think we've said it a million times. It's not that we want to be a political podcast. It's politics have now taken control of business.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it last week, red tape, regulations, fucking, it's inevitable. I mean, it used to be you didn't talk politics.
No, but
I just don't care for it.
No,
I get that. I think that and I get the idea of like Thanksgiving dinner gets real fucking awkward when you start talking about politics. But I think the idea that we can't have a conversation about some of the stuff. I mean, there's hot button issues that go to the core that perhaps we shouldn't touch, and we don't. But I think the idea that we can't have a civil conversation about some of the things that we're talking about, like taxes and regulation, and I think that it's kind of silly.
No, I think it's certainly relevant.
You know, just because somebody has a difference in political opinion doesn't make somebody evil.
Right.
Doesn't make somebody stupid.
Right.
It makes, I'm the person that I am because of the life that I
want to live.
Grew up
and you're around it, and then you worked for the life that you have. And when someone in DC wants to make a regulation or a rule that kind of impacts your life, it puts you on the defensive.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at the age now, like, I guess sometimes I don't think about it this way, but I'm a father of 2, and my parents used to say, like, those sport teams, they don't put food on your table, But now, when you start looking at these people, they're trying to take food off your table.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have a family. Like, it's a natural instinct to be protective of your own. They're my kids and they're my responsibility. And if you don't think that way, you're probably a shit parent.
Yeah. Life experiences shape your your entire ideology, not just political ideology. And it's not just so, you know, owning a business, being a parent, and there's that old phrase that if you're in your 20s and you're a conservative, you're heartless. If you're in your 40s and you're a liberal, you're brainless.
Right.
Not saying that you're brainless. I don't think I don't think necessarily that you're stupid. But I think that certain life experiences lead people down a certain path, and being a business owner and, you know, it's easy for somebody that gets a paycheck that sees that net pay to ignore taxes, right? Because they get that net pay. They don't pay attention. They don't necessarily see that top number and look at all that money coming out. But when you're a business owner and you're getting all the money, and then at the end of the year, you have to pay that big nut in taxes, you're like, what the fuck? What am I paying?
Right.
Yeah.
So taxes all of a sudden become much more relevant to you because you've got to write that big check at the end of the year or every quarter, where whenever you're a W-2 employee, that's all taken care of for you. In fact, most people that are W-2 employees at the end of, in April or in February or March,
Kickbacks.
they're getting money back. And
Which
a lot
is
of time
dumb.
people are like, oh, I'm getting money back.
Yeah.
Or I'm getting a refund, or I'm getting a tax credit. That's your money, man.
Yeah, you just
Like,
lend
you're
it
just
out
getting your
for
money
free.
back.
Yeah.
You know, you lent that to the government for a year. What are you doing?
Destiny's one of the first people, I think, in my life that you explained that, like, you pay your nut, and then at the end of the year, you start saving it towards Christmas or whatever. You know what I mean? So he's on point with what he owes.
Yeah, it may have been a conversation with you, Jerry, or something along those lines, but you can look up tax tables, see how much you're going to pay for a W-2 employee.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, I want to keep my money.
Well, you know,
I grew up poor on welfare if we're going to give. So it's like, I'm not giving my money to anybody if I don't have to. So
especially the government.
Once I get to that
if
amount,
I pay my bill, I'm shutting that shit off. And I tell some of my employees about that. And they're like, is this legal? I'm like, fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah. I have clients that it's impressive. Like they obsess over it.
Yeah.
So like they want to make sure that their withholding is spot on, and they obsess over it to the point where we'll do their taxes and they'll owe $1.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck yeah, I nailed it. And I'm like, yeah, you nailed it, but I kind of did it better because I owed them $1,000 and I didn't get penalized and I didn't have to pay interest.
Yeah.
So they lent me $1,000 this year. You know what I mean? So like, I think I nailed it.
Yeah, a lot of people, like a lot of employees will do additional withholdings, you know, so they can get money back.
Right.
Because they feel like the government's screwing them if they, and it doesn't make
People get
sense.
mad. I'm telling you, I have clients that people get mad when their refunds are down. And I'm like, but you had it all year.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's like a poor mentality. You see a lot of people get these large refunds for child tax credits, and they'll go buy a shitty car or a couch, and it's
They'll
like
spend it on Legos for their kids and shit. It's
I've
like
seen
you're not
it.
doing.
I'm not going to throw. I've seen it in my family, and it's just this poor mentality they never get out of.
Yeah.
So it's you got $6,000, but like the last year you got it early February because you filed early because you wanted that money, and it's gone by March.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
what
fast
the
money
fuck?
spends fast, and that's the truth of anything.
Yeah.
You know? And
But
that's
they work. I mean, they work, but there's no foresight to be like, I need to get out of this rat race. And I think that's why I'm sitting here.
You also get into a situation a lot of times with those folks is that they get into a situation where they know every year, hey, I get $6,000 every February.
Yeah.
So when something
Pre-spend.
changes and all of a sudden they come see me and it's only $1,500,
They're screwed.
They're $4,500 light.
Yeah.
And now they can't make their budget. They can't pay their property tax that's what they earmark it for, or they can't cover their vacation that they use that money for, or they can't pay off a credit card that they use to pay for Christmas gifts or whatever.
Yeah.
So, people get in that mindset where they count on that refund, and it's just a bad mindset to get into. That's your money, and tax, being intelligent with tax law. And I'm not saying that you need to read the tax law, because I do this shit for a living.
right.
And I am constantly learning and researching, and because it's always changing, and there's always little pieces of the tax code that, there's a reason why we have to go take all these bullshit courses every year to learn and all this stuff. So I'm not suggesting that somebody go memorize the tax code.
You should at least know what you're expected roughly to pay each year.
and understanding how the tax brackets work. Like one of the things that I would say a huge majority of the people in this country misunderstand is that they think, oh, I hit another tax bracket, so my taxes went up. And they think that if you go from a 10% tax bracket to a 20% tax bracket, that means I paid 20% on all my income. It's not the case. It's compounding. So if I'm at 10%, say for instance that the brackets go that once you hit $50,000 worth of income, you're a 10% tax bracket up to $50K. And then for the next $50K, you're at 20%, right? Well, say you made $52,000. That doesn't mean that $52,000 got taxed at 20%. It means $50,000 got taxed at 10% and $2,000 got taxed at 20%. So getting bumped into the next tax bracket really doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
Now where it does mean a lot is if you are right at the cusp, and what gets people screwed up is the tax brackets jump in weird intervals, right? It goes from 10 to 12 to 24 to 26. I mean, it's like weird jumps, right? So what ends up happening is somebody could be right at the cusp of like the top of the 12% bracket, and then they'll do something that they'll take out like maybe money out of their 401k, or they'll cash in a bond or whatever. Okay. They do something to take in additional money. Well, now that entire amount of money is in that higher tax bracket.
Yeah.
Right. So they have to consider that, okay, well, I have that extra, call it $20,000. That's all getting taxed at 24% because it's all up in that bracket. But it didn't change any of the income below it.
Yeah. And a lot of times you have employees that are conscientious of this stuff. So like they feel like because, they made 58 last year and then they made 61 the next year, but they didn't get a big return because of that additional tax.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you gave me a raise and I worked a little extra, but like Uncle Sam screwed me, and then they take it out on the employer.
Yeah. So all you did was bump me into another tax bracket.
Right.
Well, not really.
No, yeah, we bumped $3,000 into an additional tax bracket.
Yeah.
You made the additional,
But it's not our fault. I mean, we gave you more money.
Right.
I mean, be mad at Uncle Sam.
One of the things I would love for an employee to see is when you do payroll, the direct deposit comes out first, right? So you see like that's their gross, right? Pay.
Net.
The net on the direct deposit.
Yeah.
So that comes out. And then like usually like in my case, 20 hours, like the next day, the tax comes out.
Yeah.
Boom. And then that's the federal.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it's like payroll just fucks you 3 days in a row.
Oh, yeah.
And like they all got paid on that number, and I'm paying other people on those numbers.
Yeah, you keep getting bent over a couple more days.
Every single day.
Yeah, it's like
and then at the end of the quarter when the rest of them come out,
that number can be jarring sometimes.
Yeah. Then your workers' comp bill comes up and it's like, oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's a very expensive process for an employer. Anyway, but get back to it. I think that the general public needs to have a better intelligence with the tax law.
Yeah.
And I think if they did, I think some of the conversations that we would be having in the political world with a presidential election happening would be very different. For instance, one of the things we touched on last week in the episode that they're still talking about right now is this tax on unrealized gain and the new tax that they're proposing on capital gains tax.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that they want to tax 25% on unrealized gain. Unrealized gain means if I bought Apple stock at $100 a share and it's now worth $250 a share, they want to tax me 25% on that $150 a share that it went up. I didn't sell the stock.
Yeah.
I don't have any money.
That's a battle cry for the poor to get the poor people's votes.
I think
what I mean. I feel like
so.
And the people that lack the financial intelligence to understand that doesn't, stock going up, real estate values going up, any sort of asset value going up does not equate to money.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think the common person that like maybe is down on their luck and they see these investors that are like now famous.
I don't even know what stock is.
Think about what was the guy from GameStop. what did they call him? Roaring Kitty.
Yeah, Kitty.
Yeah, Roaring Kitty's realized gain on his stock would bankrupt 90% of Americans.
Well, there's so many, and we talked about all the unintended consequences of the no tax on tips we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
How about the unintended consequences on taxing 25% on unrealized gains?
Yeah.
If Roaring Kitty, for example, okay, that guy didn't have any cash. Right?
No, yeah. He invested $53,000 out of his 401k.
Yeah, it was his. That's all his money went into that stock.
53 to 300 million.
Okay, so
now he's a billionaire. On paper, he's a billionaire. He would owe that money, but he technically is not sold.
He doesn't have it.
So he would owe $250 million.
Roughly on what he has inside.
So what do? You have to sell the stock.
Yeah.
Right. So now you have more people selling than buying, and there's a supply and demand. You end up with the stock market crashing because people are having to sell their investments in order to pay tax.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work for the overall economy.
Yeah.
And then
we've talked about it. The government, and not to get like dark on the government, but like government projects run over in excess. They're always looking for a way to gain more on their coffers and take from everybody else.
Yeah.
And when they go after people in the stock market, a lot of people don't mess with the stock market, especially the people that are poor.
Well, yeah, the majority of people have their own stocks or 401ks.
That everybody that has a laptop in front of them that trades stocks is a multimillionaire.
Mm-hmm. Not true.
And it's it's just like a casino. There's a reason why the stock market's so popular.
What was the big one in COVID? Was it Dogecoin or?
Yeah,
everybody was saying hold. You're suddenly a stock expert.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is like some people bet on sports.
Yeah.
Some people bet on horses.
Yeah.
Some people bet on companies.
Some people bet on the stocks.
And that's the way they do it, and that's fine. But like the poor guy that like, I'm not wealthy, so I'm a lot closer to that poor guy. You know what I mean? Than I am to Roaring Kitty. But the thing is,
Mr. Fox Chapel.
Yeah, that's O'Hara, motherfucker. But they just think that like, oh well, they're wealthy, they can afford it. And they should take care.
Like Obama fan.
And it happens. I mean, you look what's going on in the city schools right now. There's a heat wave. They're giving them a half day, and they're crying poor in the city to fix the schools. And it's like some guy called into like one of the radio stations I listen to. He's like, $35,000 a school. I'll put 8 split units in. You guys have AC tomorrow. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's probably a sensible option for them.
Yeah.
But the school board's not going to do it because they just don't. They refuse to address issues in these problems.
Well, there's so many other regulations with it, right? Because if it's in the city, it has to be installed it has to be prevailing wage. Right. It has to be a union contract. It has to be go out to bid. And
engineers and architects.
It's not going to be $35,000 a school. It's going to be
$750,000
a school because the government's involved.
Right. And that's kind of what this guy that called in, like he owned an HVAC company. He was like, I would do it, but they wouldn't let me do it.
Right.
Because it has to be done by union. You know, like
there's all these bullshit. Regulations.
It is.
It's, we went there last episode. I don't want to go too far into it, but it is a problem. It is a very big problem. So,
spending.
And not to mention, you probably have like a parent of a student in that school that owns an HVAC company that would be willing to like, I'll do it on weekends and we'll get it done. We got to eliminate this problem.
I'm going to make an unpopular comment. But when we were kids...
We walked to school uphill both ways in the snow.
We're not going to go that way. Okay, we only had one hill, but our elementary school did not have AC.
No, open windows. And Miss Abruzzi was the best because she had a box fan. I remember it.
Yeah,
it was a hit. Like not all teachers had a box fan.
We didn't get a half day because it was hot.
Fuck no.
Right.
We fucking sweated in that school, man.
Kids have rights now.
But what are we doing to these kids, man?
Well,
do you think these kids are going to be able to do a roofing job?
That's what I said to you. I was like, we're not raising dry cleaners. I'll tell you that.
Not robots.
Yeah, well.
They're not going to be able to work anywhere. They're going to be like, oh, I can't work here. There's no AC.
Yeah.
But AC? I mean, I had a tenant that put in a help ticket. They're like, the AC doesn't work in this unit. that unit doesn't have AC.
It's not turning the furnace on.
This air conditioner hasn't worked for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, it's because there is no air conditioning. That'd be a good reason why.
You gotta get a window unit.
Yeah, get a window. Well, are you going to provide it?
Even my house growing up didn't have central air.
No, I didn't have central air until I was in college.
Rich people had central air.
Dude, my dad.
Hell yeah.
My dad went to Service Merchandise and bought a window unit.
Service Merchandise.
And put it in his window. And he had AC in his room.
Just his room.
Yeah. And, dude, he would travel for work. So it was like a huge, who's sleeping in Dad's room tonight?
Yeah.
I'm in there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I think I slept on the floor.
Man.
My sister slept in the bed several times because it would be hot.
There was a window unit in our living room. And that was it, man.
And you know what's funny is you didn't crank that motherfucker because the electric bill came the next month.
Yeah.
There was rules.
Dude, I remember sleeping, just TMI, but
in your skivvies, dude.
In my underwear with a box fan, laying arms out, legs out. Don't let anything touch anything, man. Just trying to you know what I mean? Trying to not sweat to death, trying to get some sleep, man.
Dude,
that's the way we grew up.
LV, I slept on a third floor in an attic.
That attic was hot.
You're talking about
that was
cooking, man. It cooked.
That was hot year round up there.
And all those, so 4 of my childhood homes, and maybe this was fraud, but they all burned down. So
yeah, we're changing the world, man. I don't know that whole
we're
term,
guilty of it. Could you if something happened to your AC unit at your house right now,
it'd be fixed by morning.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
When the power
man.
went out at my house, I rented a generator, to charge my kids' iPads and
not to charge it.
We'll keep my freezer running, but believe me, I had 3 plugs, right? Fridge, kegerator, iPads. That's all that was charging.
Well, that's all you need for a good time.
Well, part of that iPad thing was selfish, though, because if those iPads were charged, the kids were occupied.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was more just to try to keep you sane.
Keep this
but
ecosystem
we're
going.
literally raising snowflakes that melt when it's more than 80 degrees.
It's tough,
that are never going to be able to work a job anywhere that doesn't have air conditioning.
And it's not us. It's not the 3 people sitting in this room. It's society. Because if you don't give your kids what the next parent is giving their kid, then they come home and they feel like they're at a disadvantage. Yeah. So now you're just trying to keep up with the Joneses a little bit on that end. Not that I want to drive the cars they drive or live in these bigger houses.
As a parent, we're under pressure.
We're under pressure. And guess what?
Mental health pressure.
We are now in a category of our own as parents. Who was this legal official? Who was this official?
It was the Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, the U.S. Surgeon General is calling for a fundamental shift in the mental health and well-being of parents. It should be prioritized. So Vivek Murthy, probably butcher his name, but he's a father of 2. Doesn't get enough communication, but they tend to focus on their kids' health and well-being, but do not focus on their own.
That's called parenting in my world.
Yeah, I feel like parenting is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know?
It's only an 18-year sacrifice, too. You only have to get so far in life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sacrifice, but
what did you expect?
Come on, man.
Yeah, what did you expect?
We're not the first round of people that have done this.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
that it's the same people that said people have a complex because they have to wear masks.
And this is also the same generation that doesn't pay any fucking attention to their kids.
There are 60 million parents with kids under the age of 18.
Oh my God.
What are we going to do?
It's a pandemic.
It's a lifestyle. Being a parent is a lifestyle.
There's also articles out there that I don't know if this is conspiracy theories.
Maybe we're out of touch. Maybe we're stepping over our line here. Maybe if we brought our wives in here, they'd be like, I'm fucking stressed to the max.
Yeah, they'd be like, what the fuck?
No, I think if I brought my wife in here and read her that, she'd be like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's ridiculous. Right. So my wife, we've talked about it before. My wife was a teacher.
Right.
So she's the most patient person in the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes she says she has 3 kids, even though there's only 2 at home.
Yeah.
She calls me.
I'll move in. She can have 4.
Yeah. But no, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. First, it's too stressful to have a 40-hour work week, and now we're talking about it's too stressful to have children.
Yeah, but
come on.
Yeah, how does this all work? Like, if we just stop parenting and stop working, what happens?
You know
what are the options?
We're just gonna lean right into the cancel. So we're just gonna get canceled. But
yeah.
Do you think this has anything to do with the fact that we lean so far into having a 2-income household, and it's so that it is so, how do I put this without us getting canceled?
Well, I'll stop you there before we get canceled, but I think that the driving evil of anybody that's stressed with 2 kids under the age of 18 and living somewhere is, the word doesn't come up enough, and it won't get us canceled. But jealousy is a motherfucker. And if you're chasing your neighbor's life, you're chasing your cousin's life.
It's definitely an American thing, too.
And it's jealousy's a motherfucker.
Other countries I know have way better parental leave for babies and health care for babies. But daycare is a lot cheaper.
Yeah, so but I think that I don't know.
The society that we live in, and I'm not advocating one way or another. Okay, my wife stays home now, not because of any sort of anything that we believe like the woman should stay home. That's not my belief. That's
pregnant,
not
barefoot at the sink.
That's not it. Okay, but do you think that any of that additional pressure has come from the fact that society has pushed to having both the husband and the wife working full-time jobs?
Well, think about the of your friend group. I don't know your whole friend group, but there are people inside your friend group that won't say it to you, to your face, but they do have a double income household. And the wife in that situation probably puts a little extra pressure on the man to be like, well, Amber can stay home. Like,
there is some of that,
and
there's
so it's
also
that jealousy factor again.
There's also a lot of, I know that, and I see a lot of talk on social media and podcasts where there's a lot of issues right now with society and with couples where they have a hard time distinguishing the line between roles and responsibilities between the husband and the wife. And I'm not advocating saying that the wife and the husband need to have traditional roles and responsibilities, but what I'm saying is,
that's your shit to figure out.
It's your shit to figure out. And I worry about my 4 walls and you worry about your 4 walls, 100%. Right? And anybody listening, you worry about your 4 walls. But maybe that's where all of this stress and pressure is that you need to worry about your 4 walls and you need to have a conversation with your significant other. But I can tell you that childcare is extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what it would be like if my wife worked and having to deal with a snow day and having to deal with the kids are sick, who's staying home from school. And we've even talked about, even if she worked and it was just a job that wasn't super career minded, but if my wife was extremely career minded, and was like out there trying to be, top of her career, like I am.
Yeah.
This would be really hard.
Right, because I can't leave because I have a meeting at 4:00 and you work for, and then that's where you work for yourself. You can come and go as you please.
Right, but I work for
I've been getting a taste of that, so I have to leave job sites because she's driven and has work calls, and
it does make it a lot more challenging.
I just mixed concrete. What the fuck you mean I gotta leave?
Yeah, I can't. I got, I have appointments. I have a podcast to record tonight. I have. And when you own your own business, it's not 9 to 5.
Right. And that's not even considered into that. That's just parents in general. Imagine self-employed parents. Like, we have a whole nother level of issues. Like,
there's 2 proposals on the table from our lovely government. They want to restore pandemic era tax credits for kids. So $6,000 for newborns, $3,600 per child. Another proposal is free universal preschool.
So
we always talked about nothing being free. So
well, nothing's free, right? And the additional child tax credit, that's going to be bipartisan because JD Vance just came out and said that he thinks that it should be $5,000 per kid. and that Trump agrees. So that's not just the current administration that thinks it should be upped. And
proposals from both sides.
Yeah, I think that it's, I don't know that, but again, we're $34 trillion in debt.
Right.
So where is that money coming from besides 25% tax on unrealized gains and 45% tax on realized gains?
Yeah, it's got to come from somewhere.
Responsible spending.
Sure, there's people out there that are like, make it $20,000 for each kid. But
sure.
That's going to bankrupt the country, right?
Well, here's you put yourself into a cycle now. We already have a large majority of the population that can't take care of themselves. And then you incentivize having kids, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll have 2 kids a year. That's $12 grand in our pocket. And then you have 8 kids. Tyreek Hill had 6 in a year. And
yeah, he did.
He can afford them, but he can afford them now because he's playing football. But it's just,
I think
just
AB
bullshit.
has 7, but he's now bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean,
filed for bankruptcy.
You're already stressed out enough. You don't need to have people having more kids. That's not going to help the stress.
Yeah, when you're having these kind of discussions about increasing credits for anything, whether it's child tax credits, whether it doesn't matter.
Solar panels,
whether it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we got to change the name of this show.
Teslas.
Even small business credits.
We'll change the name of the show here on air. We're going to call this show The Bridge to Common Sense.
Yeah.
Because every week we bridge this gap between the lunacy in the news and the common sense, and then we relate it to a business owner because we always get left out in these conversations.
We do. But my point is, even any of these conversations where you're talking about any sort of government handout, whether it's child tax credits, business credits, whatever you may want to call it, any credits, there's no way that we can have these conversations. And especially when you're talking about increasing taxes on anybody. I don't care if you are lower class, middle class, or ultra wealthy. You cannot have these conversations without having a common sense, reasonable, rational conversation about cutting ridiculously overspending, bloated spending within the federal government.
And one of my thoughts is like none of these credits ever come with a 20-80 hour factor. So like 2,080 hours is a 40-hour work week.
Mm-hmm.
Why in any of this is it not accredited to the people that are working 40 hours a week or more that should be deserving of this credit? Like if you have an employee that like I have employees that work a lot for me and I really appreciate them, but the numbers are the numbers. Like I can only charge so much for my product. Mm-hmm. I have overhead.
How about an overtime credit?
Yeah. Like give it to the people that are working.
Yeah.
Like if you have a mother of 3 that's working 2,080 hours or more a year, at the end of the year, look at her payroll.
Yeah.
Issue that credit.
Maybe there should be a box on the W-2 that shows the number of hours.
How many hours you work. I agree with that. And that's what I'm saying. We're bridging the gap of common sense to the world, just kind of screwing everybody and not working for it. Maybe if you're a teacher and you take a half day because it's hot outside, you lose a little and the taxpayer saves a little. And you know what you do with the savings? You put an air conditioner in the fucking school so they can go to fuck the school.
Everybody agrees should happen.
I mean, what the fuck? It's 2024. You can't air condition a government building.
I guess not.
Try that shit at the federal building.
Guess not.
That wouldn't happen.
You have buildings, legitimately, that are as old as this country.
Yeah.
That are air conditioned.
They have marble floors outside. I walked past 6 of them in Chicago.
Just take all of the kids and put them in downtown Pittsburgh in high rises because they're all
available.
Yeah, that's what they should do. So take the BNY Mellon building that's going to be empty next year because they don't have anybody.
Public school kids.
And make that Pittsburgh public schools.
Boom. Done.
Solved. We just solved Pittsburgh's budget.
We're bridging the gap to common sense here.
Speaking of a ridiculous article.
There we go.
Here's the headline from this morning. And Jerry, I want your reaction.
This is the first I've heard it.
California close to approving $150,000 in loans for first-time home buyers that are illegal immigrants.
Wait. What? Loans or grants?
Loans.
So
that'll lower my blood pressure.
Wait, no. It shouldn't.
Well, it's a loan. They got to pay it back, right? They're honest.
They're illegal immigrants with no social security number. How are they going to collect it?
They'll pay it back, man.
It just passed the Senate this morning.
It passed the Senate?
Passed the Senate. Governor Newsom or whatever his title is.
It's a California law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least
great state of California. So AB.
We've been paying for
1840.
California our whole lives. I would say 8% of every tax dollar you spend as a working
So the headline,
human
so the
goes
headline
directly to
is
California.
every illegal immigrant in California is getting $150,000. What the actual news here is,
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
they are now eligible to buy houses in this country and can be approved up to $150,000 for the down payment.
Well, who's the lender?
For the down payment.
Yeah.
But let's face facts. There's nothing in California for $150,000.
Right.
So it's a grab. It's a headline grab.
Yeah, it sounds like something California would do. Like in 2035, it'll be illegal to buy an internal combustion motor.
Right.
It's just a bullshit.
Yeah, it's a headline grab. That's what they do to us.
But that's what California does.
Yeah.
California does.
They fucked the lawnmower up. Ardessi's lawnmower is falling apart because of California.
Nozzle on the gas.
You know, I used to have
The gas cans all fucked up.
We used to have sugar at our hunting camp that on the box said known to cause cancer in lab rats in California.
Yeah.
Just
it
in
was
California.
like the original Splenda. But like we had mice in our cabins. We were like, fuck it. Let them eat the sugar.
It's still on fishing weights.
Oh yeah, because the lead.
Lead.
Yeah.
Like this will give you cancer if you keep
Just
fishing.
don't eat them.
Dude, I think Weezer had a song back in the day that said something about like, ooh, wow, Los Angeles, don't fall into the ocean. I think they're going to remake it and be like, fucking fall into the ocean, dude. Like, just fucking end it for everybody. I mean, I don't
guess
know.
they're due for another.
I don't understand.
That's
So who is going to be forced to do these loans? Are they going to make the
I don't know
banks
if
do it?
it's the California Dream for All plan, Jerry.
Dude, they can't even buy a fucking revamped Volkswagen van for $150,000 in California. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to buy for $150K, but I mean,
it's
there's
just the down
neighborhoods.
payment. So that's what, 5% of what? Millions?
Yeah, but how are they going to get the rest of the loan?
yeah.
How are they getting this money? If they're not on paper.
Yeah. Yeah, right. What's the first thing you fill out in every loan?
I don't know.
Like first name, last name, social security number.
Yeah.
number.
You can't even file a tax return without a social security number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they
So
can
how do
buy
you
a house.
prove your income?
Yeah, this is that
But
common.
the crazy thing is that I deal with self-employed people that try to get mortgages,
Yeah.
and it is a nightmare.
Yep,
because
went through it.
You have to like basically give up your firstborn and show. I mean, it's the hoops you have to go through as a self-employed person with a bank.
We went through it, and I had a
it's so
significant down
hard.
payment because I had sold property. So we had like a real estate transaction to show where the down payment money came from, and it was still impossible.
It's so hard, and they nitpick every little thing, and then you're gonna.
Well, you're a business owner. You should be able to buy your house cash, right?
Right.
We're millionaires.
We don't. Yeah,
Got all that
millionaire.
laying around.
But they're going to give it to somebody that can't file a tax return because they're not legal citizens.
Mm-hmm.
But you're a dick if you're anti-illegal fucking immigrant. You know what I mean? Like you're a dick. Like they're like, well, what the fuck? You're insensitive to it.
But the funny thing is that what do you think that's going to do to the influx of illegal immigrants in this country?
Fuck,
like I can go get a free $150K. I'm going, bro.
Yeah, give me the check. I'll give it to Tony. I'm buying his house. It's fucking crazy.
Crazy.
But there are people on both sides of that aisle that think it's a great idea, and it's a rite of passage to own a house in America.
I mean, and it is.
But
it's
what is the
American
percentage
dream.
of people that own their house? American citizens.
Outright?
Yeah, like outright. Mortgage.
Homeowners.
Yeah, homeowners.
What's the percentage of
Because
homeowners?
there's
in
a
this
whole
country?
generation of 25-year-olds and below that might never own their own house.
And there's a lot of people that are in those generations that don't want to.
Right. Yeah, that's part of it. But
What do you think the percentage is?
I'd say less than 10.
Less than 10% own a house?
Oh, we're saying finance. I was thinking outright. The finance, I would say probably 60%.
65.
Yeah.
Close.
10% of people.
Like, what?
Jerry's fucking killing it in the property management sector. Let me tell you.
He's
I
rentals.
thought you meant outright. I would imagine free and clear own their home. I would imagine it's 10%.
All right.
Somebody's got
Probably.
loans of every sort on their property. I don't know. It's all, they're all tools though. Like financially, they're tools. Like your house is a tool. Like to utilize it to do other things to make more money.
38% of homeowners
outright
paid off. Really? I'm surprised it's that high.
Baby boomers.
The baby boomers, yeah.
They're so responsible. They did so many great things for this. Many great things for this country.
Many huge.
They fucking raised us in schools without air conditioning. Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Fought some wars.
Mm-hmm.
Won them.
I saw a guy had a shirt. It was an Air Force shirt. Said we were winning when I retired. He's an older guy.
Yeah, good for him.
So,
they say the older generations were tougher than us, but like this has been trickled down fuckonomics. They've been fucking people like left and right.
Yeah.
I had a customer one time tell me, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. He said, "You know what happened wrong in this country is they started putting outlet covers on outlets. So they stopped weeding out the fucking dumb ones.
Right.
Like, oh, bang. Oh, dead. Like,
Dead.
They protect like seatbelts and car seats and all these child safety restraints that they have. We're not weeding out the dumb ones,
Survival of the fittest, buddy.
Yeah, the cream will rise to the top.
And now a brief word from our sponsor.
This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll. Are you tired of spending countless hours juggling payroll calculations, tax filings, and compliance regulations? Well, say goodbye to that chore and let Paymark Payroll take the burden off your shoulders. With our secure online portal, you can access your business information from any internet location, even your phone. Employees will love the ability to receive direct deposits, and they can access all their pay stubs, tax forms, and information through their own portal. Focus on growing your business while we take care of the rest. With top-notch customer support, we're always here to assist you with anything, at any time. Don't let payroll stress hold you back. Choose Paymark Payroll and experience the freedom to thrive. Contact us at payyourpeople.com for a personalized consultation and a demonstration of our powerful payroll solutions and see how Paymark Payroll can better your workflow. That's payyourpeople.com. Join the growing list of satisfied businesses that have embraced the convenience and efficiency of Paymark. Payday made easy. Your business deserves nothing less than the best, and that's exactly what Paymark Payroll delivers. Now back to the show.
What's new, Joe, at the building? It's been we've been watching your progress and setbacks and.
Well, today I figured I am somewhat of a workaholic, and I will chase every dime until the end. So I called People's Gas and said, shut me down on the 28th because that way I can't work. Without gas, I can't work. So they didn't come. So I worked all day. I thought they'd come at like
You were
noon.
Just going to work till you ran out of gas?
Correct. Yeah, that was the game plan. I was like, fuck it. I'll just keep working. So we worked until we were out of clothes. We've cleaned and pressed every garment that was in our place. And now we are completely tomorrow shutdown mode. Instead of them taking the gas away, I took the return tank for the boiler away, so I can't run tomorrow. And I will start cleaning and disconnecting equipment. Forklifts on site. Forklift will then load the trucks tomorrow. Probably have 90% of the equipment out. And then, fortunate enough, the new building has a warehouse, so we can stage and then bring in. Yeah. And
end of an era, man.
Yeah. 60. I think it was 60 years on McKnight Road Doro Cleaners.
At that place.
Well, not me. So they've had 3 different locations with the same landlord over 60 years, and
you ended it.
Ended it.
Straight
and one of the funny things I thought about today is I'm explaining this to customers, and they're getting it. It takes a minute to explain to somebody how the home delivery works because just because you know what your business does doesn't mean everybody understands it.
That's true.
So I spent a lot of time, and my girls at the front counter have nailed it. Like they got a skit. They figured it out. They're better than I am at this because they have the relationship with the people. Like I do too, but for the most part, they're dealing with everybody every day. So they've gotten to a good point where they're explaining to people, they're signing up online. QR code was key, and but it's it is an ending of an era, but it's fun to see it. And I said to someone, one of my better customers today, I said, I'm putting the fucking legwork in for every dry cleaners in the area because they're all afraid to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
A lot of them do home delivery, but they feel like they need this brick and mortar. And I'm just not giving people the option anymore.
That's the way I feel like that's the way the world's going.
Yeah. I mean, I think I referenced service merchandise earlier.
Do you go into the bank? I guess you do because you have checks.
People do, but
I haven't been into a bank in years.
There's people that don't go to grocery stores anymore.
Right? Yeah, you get like delivery.
You either get it delivered, you pull up and they bring it to your car. Like we are pussifying this whole country with what we were talking about earlier. So let's not just take it all the way. Let's take it all the way.
Amazon's fault.
Hey, if you
used to have to go to the mall and look for shit.
Well, I remember going to Waterworks had a service merchandise. You had a catalog. And
you going to this.
Well, it was I always felt like they had the groundwork of what Amazon has become because they had a catalog that came to my house this thick, and you'd be like, I want A36.
You're the guy that buys shit out of Air Mall on the airplanes.
Dude, I don't know. Come down the conveyor belt, you grab your box, you fucking rolled. They had some displays, but they didn't have it all set up. But I just feel like I'm putting a lot of legwork in explaining this to a lot of people. And, in any business, you have customers that come and go. Mm-hmm. So now I've explained this to them, and they're gonna work with me, and I'm gonna do work for them. And then, if something doesn't work out, they're gonna fucking call the next dry cleaner and be like, "Do you deliver?"
No.
And they're gonna be like, "Yeah, we deliver." And it's got to change. Like the whole concept of making all this revenue and not making any more money.
Yeah,
it doesn't work for me. Like I'm 40 now. So I joke. I said there's two ways out of the dry cleaning business: bankruptcy or death. And I found option door number. I picked door number 3. We're gonna go down that door.
Yeah.
And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I'm fine with it at this point.
We're along for the ride.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with not to disclose too much. I'm totally fine with if it doesn't work. I tried because it's not working the way it was.
Yeah.
But we talked off air about like where we're trying to go with this. And it's not about making $1 million worth of revenue work on this program. It's about perfecting this program. And then there's dry cleaners out there that are like me that took over their family's business that can't figure it out or don't have the guts to do it. And hopefully we can find them along the road and be like, look, I did this. I got my life back. I'm still making the same amount of money. Let's do this in your place. Let's give you your life back. And that's what I look forward to the most. It's just, you can't not practice what you preach.
Yeah.
So I can't do this and
you're
not
practicing.
Yeah. So I can't not like, that's like phase 1 is like, fuck it. I'm on a wiggly stool with a belt around my neck. Like you got to kick the fucking stool out or no one's going to believe you, So I think it'll be fine. Like I say it like it doesn't, like I don't mean it sometimes, but like I mean it to the fullest extent. And I've listened to past episodes, like while I'm pressing and like so many things go through the cracks when you're pressing the clothes, waiting on the counter and cleaning the clothes. And it's like, you are a terrible business owner at this point. Everybody tells you how hard you work, but it doesn't mean shit if you're got all this shit underneath you. That's just like, oh, I forgot to pay this guy. Or the worst one is like, I forgot to bill this person.
Yep.
Or I forgot to send them my W-9 so they won't pay me. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't mean anything if you're not getting paid.
I think you're talking about the time is the most important thing,
right?
For us, we're all 40, and you realize you don't have as much time left as you used to.
Right. Got to maximize what we have left.
And success to me before was like we pressed 290 shirts and we did 100 pair of pants and 240 pieces of dry cleaning, and it's like, well, the quality lacks because you're so busy.
Yeah.
And you could have a great client call you and you miss that call and you're worried about cracking a Waterloo, bro. Fucking bro. You fucking don't worry about cracking shit. But no, you like miss out on like very important phone calls and clients.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want to be the dry cleaner to like one person that like is a pain in the ass? Or do you want to like get a good clientele that like, that like you can call up and be like, hey, look, I know you just bought this Hugo Boss jacket. Came out great cleaning wise, presses like shit, maybe I'll call Larimers, I'll talk to them for you, but like this is going to be a problem down the road. But right now, when you have all that shit to do, that gets lost.
You're just churning and burning right now.
Yeah. You can either be a high volume dry cleaner or you could be a low volume, high quality dry cleaner. There's no in between.
And I think that goes with any business. When I started the property management company, I was talking to a gentleman that owns another management company, and he told me, and I didn't listen to him. Big mistake. He was like, focus on being premium, a premium quality, premium level, high-end management company, and only focus on, high-end properties, high-quality tenants, high-quality landlords. Don't get sucked into just trying to get as many units as you can, and ending up with shit, right?
Every business owner.
It's every business owner.
Vortex.
My accounting firm, you could say the same thing. You want all the business. You want all of it, man. But then you end up spending, it's that whole 80-20 rule, right? Where you're spending 80% of your time working on 20% of your clients, and you're spending 80% of your time on clients that generate 20% of your revenue.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a trap that we all get sucked into. And even if you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm finally out of that, dude, it's so easy to get sucked back in.
Yeah.
And then, and it all goes back to, and we were kind of chatting earlier, the whole working on your business instead of in your business, and trying to figure out a way to craft your business to be that perfect level of profit and the most effective use of your time and energy. And there, I could say what you just said about a Hugo Boss jacket. I could say the same thing about a corporate tax return or a CFO service or a controller service that maybe I do, where I'm doing some higher level accounting service, not just bookkeeping necessarily, but where I'm actually not just doing transactional accounting, but where I'm actually doing analysis and working with a business to try to help them become more profitable or increase sales and increase bottom line. Having that extra time with a client that understands and appreciates the value you bring, is willing to pay for it. And you can bring that to the table and say, hey, listen, reviewing this here, maybe I think your insurance is a little bit expensive.
Right.
I think maybe we should talk to a couple people, get a couple quotes, because I think maybe we could save a little bit of money here. Then all of a sudden you get a couple quotes from a couple insurance companies. You save that guy $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a year. You're a fucking hero.
Right.
Right. And now all of a sudden that money you're charging that guy, he doesn't give a shit.
100%.
You just saved him a shit ton of money on insurance. And that's just one example.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you develop a clientele of people like that they're not, when you send that invoice, they're paying it. They're not going, well, what's that? When you're sending a tax return, they're not going through it line by line and going, well, explain to me, because there's a trust, right? There's
That's what you're building.
You exactly. You're not, but when you're just trying to churn and burn, you don't have time to develop that relationship with those clients and those customers, and the business suffers.
Right. And one of the things that tax and financial service and dry cleaning have tangible, like if you go to a house and they want a new deck, you give them a bill, it's $20,000. They got a new deck. They have their friends over. They have their deck. They can see it every day. With our service, like they're giving me their shit and getting their shit back.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, there's no real tangible. And with your service, yeah, they're getting their taxes filed, but they don't like leave home, like go home and they're like, landmark mug, sweet, fucking, like it nailed it. Like it's just, it's so the trust issue with us is 100%.
It's relationship.
And I like look back at these times and I think about the good clients that I've had that I maybe had a problem with, that like they called me and were like, hey, what are you going to do about this? And I'm in the middle of shit show. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean I'm going to do about it? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, and it's like you lose that trust and it's over. And it's almost like a relationship in high school or a girlfriend where you're just like, it's never going to be the same after that moment. So you're just like, fuck it, I got to move on. But like that shouldn't happen, but it won't happen moving into the future because I'm going to buy myself that time.
Yep.
And I'm going to buy it and I'm going to use revenue to buy it.
Yeah. Yep.
So the revenue is going to go down, but I'm going to buy the time with that revenue, which technically isn't your money anyway.
Yeah.
Profit's your money.
Right.
So if instead of next year we do 650, 700, we do 3 and I make 10% profit on the 3, I was making 1 on 700, so we're ahead of the game. We flipped the coin by $20,000, $23,000.
I think
what? Well, I have a good accountant, motherfucker. What's 1% of 700,000?
I mean, I guess to an outsider, it's like he's taking this, just to use your example, it's like Joe's taking a huge step back. But like, if you never do that, you're just going to be pressing shirts for the rest of your life. I would have been working at a bank for the rest of my life.
Right.
And you have to understand there's levels to this. So like, yeah, I could go sweep floors and chase revenue for the rest of my life, or I could become a property manager at some point, and then I could own real estate. There's levels to it.
Yeah.
And
time to level up.
Yeah. So if you never look at that big picture, you're just running that rat race.
Right.
I could have done a W-2 till I died and been okay, but like, we have one time.
Yeah.
Why am I not going to take one chance?
Right.
Rely on some people that have done it before, get some advice here and there, make a lot of fucking mistakes, spend a lot of fucking money too.
I feel good in my mistakes
could work
sometimes.
out. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah. And I think when I started like my own dry cleaners, I came from working for my family, and not to say what they're doing is not working for them.
It's completely fine. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, they're running a rat race. Like,
yeah, I just can't do it anymore. I can't work for somebody else.
Right.
I'd rather.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that working for yourself is a responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think that once you have the ability to wake up every day and go to work on your own, then you have the problems beat. Everything else is just about getting the job and getting through the motions. But like, no one's telling me I got to wake up tomorrow at 10 after 6 or 5:10 or whatever the fuck I got to be there. No one's telling me I got to go clean clothes on Sunday. Right. But like, once you get to that point in your life, like, you have it made right then. Like, you're okay. You'll always be okay, because maybe today it's shirts, tomorrow it's painting a house.
Yeah.
Or fucking digging a ditch.
But to like Jerry's point, like that constant churn or that trap you fall into, to me, that's like, that'll just pay the bills. That'll keep the lights on. But if you never step back and develop more, you're just going to be stuck.
So what you do is you get busy and you want time. So then you hire an employee. Well, they don't produce enough to make it make sense. Now you're paying that person, $40,000 a year, and you're like, they're actually costing me 38 because they're not making. I'm doing their work for them. Now I've got all this work and I have all this responsibility to pay these people. It's a constant fucking rat race, dude. It's just not worth it to me. And I think that I have a skill set. I'm very good at what I do. I had a customer that did a 4-pan, like he did his own little challenge. He sent 4 of the same stains to 4 different dry cleaners in our area. I won the challenge. He said, I have a customer. He's a customer of mine for life. And I'm like, you kind of need that every once in a while. I'd be like, dude, I fucking know what I'm doing. Like, because the only people you really hear from are the people that tell you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Our reviews are negative.
And you can get in your own head too. You're like, maybe I fucked this whole thing up.
Yeah.
But like, the thing about that is once you've gotten to the point where you can get up and do it yourself every day, and you really don't rely on too many people to like for your day, you can do anything, dude. You could, I could fucking make hats tomorrow.
Trey, I know you've hired a lot of people, probably fired some of them. Mm-hmm. I guess to kind of put you on the spot, why have you not hired 10 accountants and gone and chased after what you really want to do?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you like being in the mix?
There's not fucking 10 accountants out there right now.
Yeah. Obviously, you can't just bring in...
No, it's an internal struggle. It's 100% my fault.
Well, not looking to blame. It's just...
No, it is.
To Joe's point, you may not bring in quality and you could end up costing yourself.
You do. It is. It's hard. I've brought in people and it's not worked. And I'm also, I don't know. I struggle with it, and I struggle with delegating, and I struggle with, so
fucking bad.
It is. It's hard.
Sarah's
There's
come
so
to the
many
cleaner.
times where I'm like, I need to train somebody to do this, and then I just do it.
Sarah's come to the cleaners because the kids are back in school, and her heart, all she wants to do is help out. Like, that's all she wants to do.
Yeah.
But I have such a dumb way of explaining what I think, like what I do,
100%.
and then explaining to someone what I do is like two different things in my brain.
So my wife offers that we have a riding mower, and she's like, "Can I ride it? I'll cut the grass." And I'm like,
dude, all summer long, my wife just wants me to show her how to fucking weed whack.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't afford to have you fucking hurt yourself with this weed whacker right now. But like,
she's probably more than capable. My wife is more than capable. And I'm like, yeah, go cut the back. But like, you have to go this way one week and this way another week.
And that's just the simple things. And like,
work.
My problem too is like, I am wrong 100% of the time at home and willing to admit it. Like, I might not think I'm wrong at the time, but like, the cleaners is my shit. Like, I know this shit, but like, I don't need to be questioned. Like, my employees don't even question me. She's there for fucking 3 hours. She's like, well, you didn't explain it to me like that. And now I want to fucking be like, I'm like, all you want to do is leave because it's really fucking hot in here. Have a nice day. Like, it's good. She definitely helped out this week. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Your wife comes in tomorrow. What are you going to let her do here?
She won't work here.
No, yeah. And that's, I
asked her if she wanted, she's like, yeah, I'm good.
I have enough problems with like the back end of my business that if she like, and she has like, she's gone into like, or it's like funny, what do they call it? Nesting when you're about to have a kid. Mm-hmm. Well, both of our kids went to school and now she's like nesting. So like, she's like cleaning their rooms and like and it's wild because you don't think about it when you're working all the time, but like she's cleaned those rooms 100 fucking times in the last 6 months. And you come home because the kids are there. They've already fucked it up.
Yeah.
And you never say to your significant other, well, what'd you do today? Like, that's rule number one. Because all you're saying is, I did all this. What the fuck did you do all day?
Yeah, no, don't do that.
So verbiage is key.
Yeah, context.
But now with the kids at school, if you clean the room, they stay clean until at least they get home. And you can get ahead of it. With 2 kids at home, you can't ever get ahead of it.
Yeah, it's something I need to focus on working on the business and not in it.
Yeah.
And I struggle right now. My biggest struggle is that I've taken on way too much. And I currently have 2 house renovations, an office renovation, on top of all the businesses that we're running. So right now my stress levels are through the roof. So I did hire a new person and it's working out really well.
Nice.
Wasn't Amber?
No. This person worked for me before, and she was stay-at-home mom for a while, and then she just decided kids are in school. She decided to come back full-time, and it's working really well. She has an accounting degree from Pitt.
That's a big one because she's worked here.
Yeah.
So you're not bringing somebody from the outside in because now it's like, well, this is our family. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And like, there's that feeling out process that you can't.
No, she's good. She's
great.
That's
cool.
And so now we're just trying to train her on some new processes and stuff like that. But what I need to, part of the things that I need to work on is that a lot of times I feel like all we ever do is just put out fires. And it's always like, hey, this needs done. Now this needs done. Okay, now this needs done. And we never get into a rhythm of, okay, just do what we do. You know what I mean? Just do the systems every day. And I would love to get to that point, but it's a struggle. And my goal for this new office is to try to get through this mess. Clock's a ticking. And set the new office up the right way so that we can get into that office and get into that system. So I've been spending a lot of time working on, standard operating procedures and step-by-step guides on this is how we're doing things now.
Yeah. Kudos to Sarah. When she was at the cleaners, she was like, how do I start the cleaning machine? And I'm like, you fucking start the cleaning machine. I'm thinking in my head, like, I don't know how to fucking tell somebody. And she like grabs a piece of paper and she was like, just go through it. And I'm like,
write it down.
Fuck, we could print that. It could be right on the thing. And like 2 years from now, if I'm on Pebble Beach on 17, I'm like, hey, you need to run that light load because Mrs. Jones's white blouse is there. It needs to be done. Well, how do I run the light load? Don't ask me. Look at the machine. Right there. You know, you hit like all the buttons are numbered.
Right.
But like when you do it every day.
Yeah.
You're like, the whole world's fucking retarded. They don't know how to run a dry cleaning machine. Like, what the fuck?
You're not allowed to say the R word.
Stupid idiot.
I don't know.
I don't care.
We're getting canceled.
We got canceled in the first 15 minutes. Doesn't matter. Nobody's listening.
I would love it
anyway.
if like KDK just was like, Between Two Bridges co-host says
the R word.
No pickets.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, every successful business starts with systems and processes.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't have systems and processes, then you're just self-employed. Right. And you're just here working a job that you own.
Right.
And that's the current hell that I'm working in.
Same.
And you are too, Joe. I mean, that's what we're doing, but we're documenting our hopeful journey out of it.
Yeah.
But
I just don't know how many people are willing to let go of like $340,000 worth of revenue just to prove a point.
So what
I'm like, fuck it.
What I'm trying to do is
step one, fire half your customers.
The ancillary businesses that I've started that are complementary to mine, the credit card processing business, the payroll company,
takes the financial burden.
It does. And they've grown to the point where they're generating income now. And the nice thing about those companies, particularly the credit card processing business, is that they're, for the most part, pretty hands off.
Yeah.
For me, anyway, and what I'm hoping to do is to be able to generate enough revenue from them to kind of take a little bit of the load off of the accounting firm, and then be able to kind of do the same thing with you as you did, and kind of reduce some things at the accounting firm and not necessarily make any major drastic changes where we're going to, drop half of our revenue necessarily. But make some changes that if it resulted in clients going elsewhere,
you don't have to take every tax customer that walks through the door as tax return.
So we raise prices, we change systems, we make certain processes mandatory that may turn off certain clients. And if it turns out that we end up losing clients over it, it's not going to be a nasty divorce. It's going to be, hey, listen, the business has changed. This is the way we have to do things now. I understand if you have to go elsewhere, but that's the way we have to do this for us to survive.
People appreciate that.
Yeah.
You shoot them straight. Like one of the hugest, like I gotta get
I think it's hugest.
You gotta get your hands out when you do that though.
Hugest.
I think one of the biggest conversations I have with a lot of my customers, I should call them clients. It sounds more professional, but a lot of them own their own business, right? So they're in the rat race too. And like I had a really good customer that retired, and why he retired was because his landlord raised his rent, and he felt that he was early, like he was 62, but he was like, I don't want to sign another 5 years and run this fucking rat race anymore.
Yeah, I'm
done. Like, raise the rent, I'm out. You can have zero, I'm gone. And what he said to me was like, I'm 62. Like, if you do this now, if you sign a lease now, you have 5. You're 45. Now the thought of being 45 with 2 kids in middle school and buying a building becomes a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
So you don't do it then.
Because college is looming at that point.
Right. He said you don't do it then. Then you do it 5, you're 50, and you got one that's a senior on their way to college. He said, you're done.
Yeah.
Because then the next one is in college, and you're 60.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at 5 years, you're looking at your Social Security, and that's all you're looking at.
Yeah.
As a business owner, that's all you have left. And he was like, kudos to you, man. And I'm like, all right, man. Well, when I'm down fucking 279 exit, shaking that sign for that under that table money, don't forget about young Joseph here. But I mean, it's cool. I'm like looking forward to it now. Today was the day.
Exciting.
Today was the day.
You
Like,
should be excited.
shut it down. You know, the Band-Aid's been
The
ripped
lights
way
are
off. Well, we're still open. The front counter's, and this was what was cool today. So the front counter, we're still open for people to pick up until Friday. So we have that time.
Now, what happens if somebody shows up with clothes to drop off?
So what was cool today was our girls have been so good at the counter, like talking to these people, that I said to my stepdad when we were pulling the return tank out, I said, you know, wouldn't you know it, I usually get like a full buggy of dry cleaning, full buggy of shirts. I was like, I have a full buggy of dry cleaning and a full buggy of shirts that now I got to figure out how to fuck to clean and get back to them next week. Like we still took in a significant amount of, like, people were converting over. Like I had one customer bring a house key in because he couldn't figure out where to hang his shit. He was like, here's the key to my front door. Like, open the door. There's a door hook there. Close door, lock door. We're good. So like, I have garage codes and like people will figure it out. And that's why I said earlier, I'm doing the fucking legwork for every other dry cleaner that delivers right now. Because if it doesn't work, or if I don't want to go to their house anymore, if they don't turn enough revenue, they'll find somebody. And
but they're going to be spoiled by the delivery. They're going to be like, well, I'm not going to some dry cleaner anymore. Somebody's coming to me.
Yeah, like we're selling, like we don't have, like we talked about, we don't have a product to sell. Like when they come in, we don't like hit them up. Like, want to buy a lint roller? I hate that in dry cleaners. Like, fuck you. If you're doing your job, customer doesn't need a lint roller. They need you. But like, we don't have like a drink dispenser. You want to buy a Monster? You want to buy a Red Bull? Like, we don't have a single product to sell. But what we're selling, and what I've learned through all of this process, we're selling time. And the one thing I've tried to buy that you can't is fucking time.
Right.
I mean, I've tried. I mean, I did buy some time. It cost me rent money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Time is money.
Expensive.
Huge amounts of money.
Huge.
But now it's just about, I'm right where I need to be. It's just about not giving up. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, because one of the things with time too is like, customer like, hey, maybe we should just go golfing. I'm like, fuck it, I got all this time. Yeah. But it's like, no, like you have to be now I have to be very organized with my time, because like my time is now more valuable than ever.
Yeah.
That the energy needs to go to the right spot.
I go back to that Rocco episode where he was a little bit older than us, but he's like, you guys are going to get very clear about what you want. It's going to really start to make sense.
Kids get older.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with him, a phone call with him a few weeks ago. And it was right after I turned 40. And he said, he goes, I saw you turn 40. I said, I saw you had a birthday. I said, yeah. He goes, how old you turn? I said, 40. He said, welcome to the club. He goes, I'm going to be turning 50 soon. And he reiterated that. He said, things are going to become very clear for you. Things are going to change a lot.
Yeah.
And it's going to be for the better. And you're just going to, it's going to be very clear on what's important and what's not, and how to handle it when it's not. And just let it fall, let it guide you, because it's going to take you in the right direction.
You know, I always loved the house that I grew up in, and I never really had an itch to move. But one of the things that happened to me in the last couple of weeks is I came home and like the lights were just lit right in my house, and I could kind of see like I could see my kids kind of inside when I was walking up, and I was like, this is like right where I need to be. So then you stop for a second, you're like, this is what this cost me. This is what it cost me to live. And this is my nut. Everything else can fuck off. Like it could all go away. Like, because everything else in that equation is for someone else.
Yeah.
Like my nut's my nut. That's what I need to make. And I love the people that work for me, and they are on board. The half of the people that we have left are on board for this, because they know, like they saw the beginning. They saw what I took over. It was shit. Like the guy was retiring. He didn't care. Mm-hmm. He was a great guy, but like he was smart. The dude was 53 years old and realized, I'm fucking not going to make it out of this alive. Like I could chase this forever.
Yeah.
And, so he wouldn't renew a lease when they raised his rent, and he retired. So like, and he told me I'd be him someday. He's like, you like these customers. He goes, you'll change. You'll start to hate these fuckers. And I'm like, man, was he right? But instead of just retiring, obviously at 40 is not an option.
Right.
But this was the move. This is the move that needed to happen. I will appreciate my customers more. They will appreciate our service more. And it is what it is.
We'll see.
We covered them all.
I think we did. I think we had a good episode here, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of these episodes, though, we got to get Kleenex to sponsor us because I'm getting real close to being like. So, well, that wraps up episode 43. George W. Bush. Thanks, guys.
Palamalu.
All right, guys.
The Palamalu is nice. That was subtle. It was under the radar.
Yeah.
What a nice ending.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Yes, we still call it Twitter. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.